I would like to introduce our next group. We have a panel that are going to talk about what the store of the future will look like if you walk into a store in 2030, how it will evolve, what the challenges are, and I will be moderating the panel. So, Michael, Jan, you'll notice that there's 4 of us on the slide. Celeste from Under Armour really wanted to be here today. In fact, she had a flight canceled 4 times before she realized she just couldn't make it. Home base for her is Orlando, Florida. So she is navigating a lot, both in she runs stores for Under Armour. So clearly a lot of stores have been impacted. She did send some notes that I can share as we go along, but I do not think we'll have trouble filling the time. So with that, I would love for you to introduce yourselves.
Hi, Chad Lundeen, Vice President of Real Estate and Store Development for Saatva. We're a home furnishing brand that centers around the bedroom. So mattresses, bed frames, top of bed product sheets, pillows, anything with a bedroom that we focus on. It's an e-commerce company first, started about 12 to 13 years ago. And up until about 2020, we started developing retail stores because we know that only about 25% of our customers will shop online, sight unseen. And so the other 75% was an untapped market for us. And so now developing new store concepts and physical stores, it unlocks that customer base that needs to touch and feel it.
Hi, my name is Michael Pietrenti. I am the Senior Director of Visual Merchandising for a company called Missouri. It's a jewelry company. I'm actually only 6 weeks in. I just kind of started there. So a little bit about them is, it's funny. It's also a e-com based company first. It's about 9 years old and super interesting, like very big e-commerce. Their first toe, I want to say they put in the water for stores was like a showroom concept. And then that kind of blasted into, right now we have 36 locations that operate within the US, Canada, Australia, and the UK. And we're just growing. I mean, it's insane in just a short amount of time, 5 years from this first showroom concept to all these stores. So super amazing to be a part of. Before then, though, I'm a retail guy, so I've worked in visual for about 20 years, all on the visual creative marketing side. So I know it's very interesting to talk to some of you last night about and to watch robotics and supply chain and all of that things. And I'm such a marketing guy, so it's such an unlock from the other side of the brain. So I appreciate just the time with all of you.
So when you think about it, we're talking about stores that have furniture and stores that have jewelry. You couldn't be more diverse in terms of the categories. And a lot of healthy fashion, apparel, and music experience sprinkled in. But we don't have a lot of time, so let's get right to it. People are talking about stores and how stores are still really important, if not even more important than they were, say, 5 years ago. And one of the things that we talk about a lot is experiential retail. So what does experiential retail mean to you, Chad?
So amazing, just to talk about Amazon for a second, crazy good stuff they're doing, right? That the logistics and things like that. But what we're talking about now is the human experience, like what happens in the stores. And one of the things that we drive at our Saatva stores is really tapping into the 5 senses of the human experience. And so, the physical, the emotional, the tactile, functional, and the wellness pieces of it. Those things really resonate with the customers, and it drives a brand awareness and drives a loyalty to the brand that really is pretty special. So we focus on beautiful stores. Like first and foremost, the stores are just beautiful. They're not like any other home furnishing store that, maybe a Restoration Hardware or something to that ilk. But, we really try to drive an experience that is welcoming, calming, relaxing, because you're making a purchase for your most sacred room in your home, right? Your bedroom. And so we want to make that special and pressure-free. And the other thing we do is we integrate technology as well. So it's a blended technology and physical experience. So there's a lot of displays that are curated nicely and not in your face. So they are part of the fabric of the store. They're not just a piece of hardware that's plastered here and there. So it integrates that transitional piece for the customer to navigate the digital phase and the physical phase, because it's seamless now. The customer doesn't want to have to deal with the digital on one side of the fence and the physical on the other side of the fence. They want it all blended together in that experience. So we blend that technology into our stores. You come into our stores, there's a kiosk at every bed. You can self-guide. You can do your research in store, or you can have a sleep guide with you. There's other small things we do, the scents and the lighting and the music, right, to touch those things. But it's also very tactile too. The finishes are very subtle. They're very genuine, right? They're not just artificial fabrics and artificial woods. They're real, authentic materials that speak to the product and the brand. And so that's some things we're looking at. And I think it's really important for the customer to have that immersive experience, and they'll come back again and again. And one of the things we always talk about is that if you have a bad experience, you're gonna lose that customer right away, right? They've done all the research, they've traveled 40 miles to get to your store to touch and feel your products. And if they have a bad experience, they're not coming back. They're gonna go across the street to someone else. So you really have to really have an epic experience for that customer from the moment they enter the store to when they leave.
Yeah, I mean, you really stole all of the things I would have said. So that's unfair. Next question will be asked to me first. Anyway, no, I mean, you hit it on the head. I don't think it's just, I love that you talked exactly about like your specific brand, but I do feel like the brands that are turning more into an experience versus just getting stuff out. Like, again, I don't think AI is going to change how we merchandise a store. It's just going to make it easier for the customer to navigate, to connect all of those omni touch points about how they experience a brand. And that's what's the most important thing. And that's where I see the evolution going, especially from an experience, level. I mean, you again, from the touch, from the feel, from the smell, from the look, all of those things I think are super important. So it really is, about how the brands are leveraging that experience and turning it into, a profitability.
And I think that's exactly right. It's got to be brand specific, right? So what Chad was just talking about was basically you want to walk into the store and you want to feel relaxed, like you want to go to sleep, so that you're going to buy this environment and this mattress that is going to turn your home into that experience. But my most recent brand that I was at was Bandier, which was women's luxury activewear. So it was the opposite. Our experiential retail was you could come in, and in most of our locations, you could do a workout class, or thinking about that mother, that customer, and it's Mother's Day, and we're going to let the workout class be for your kids while we give you a free facial. So really giving a reason, thinking about stores, not as a cost, but as the most important part of your marketing budget.
Yeah, I mean, like, just to chime in too, from our perspective from Missouri, I mean, the biggest thing that we do is we've, unlocked the glass case. I mean, we've created an environment in our stores that is jewelry is approachable. I mean, we're really trying to, not just, I don't know, just a statistic, but 95% of all jewelry is literally bought by men. And, that is a crazy thinking when, the majority of it is worn by women. And, we really want to shift that, thought process where, to buy yourself the damn diamond. So that has to be, approachable. So it is more about, lifting up and making sure that experience is at the forefront of that brand.
I'm pretty sure Michael just gave all the women in the room permission to go buy a diamond.
Come see me. I'll tell you what the store is.
So let's shift gears just a little bit. We're hearing so much about AI and robots today. So Store of the future, 2030. Will we be served in our stores by AI and robots? What form does technology take in shaping the future? And Michael, you look like you want to say something.
I do.
Go
You know
for it.
why? You know why? Because I don't even think we have to wait for 2030. I mean, I think there are brands today that are doing things, that are really an unlock. Like I'm sure someone in here has been to a Zara, or a Uniqlo, and they're already taking out that interaction of buying something. You put it in and it basically calculates everything you do. You tap the thing and then you walk out with it. So I think there's going to be more animation from a store experience, as the time goes on. But I think more brands are going to maybe really look to how do you automate some of the things, and so you can spend more time on creating that connection about whatever your brand is and what you're trying to sell to the customer. So, again, taking that automation, puts, payroll to that person or that thing. And then that maybe gets, reallocates some time so that you get a one-on-one connection in your stores for the brand.
Yeah, that emotional connection is so important, so important. When I was at Sonos doing stores across the world, we weren't trying to sell the speakers. We were trying to have people fall in love with music, because once people fall in love with music, then they'll want to participate and buy our products. And so we wouldn't hire techies. We'd hire musicians and artists, right, that can have that connection, that human connection, that emotional connection to the brand in that way.
No, I love that. Yeah, that's actually really cool. Again, it's like, it's not about, I think more brands need to do more like that, as they go for the future. It's not about selling. I love that. It's not about selling the speaker. It's more about, falling in love with something, because an emotional connection is going to always make you spend, or always make you attached more than just say, buy this,
Yeah. And actually, that excites me, because I really am very passionate about our fellow colleagues that work in retail stores, and often they're bogged down in operational tasks. So this provides the opportunity, as you have with AI. We're not fully automated yet, but it's augmenting and it's assisting, that allows to streamline so they can be great at what they need to be, which is ambassadors of the brand. And I think that's going to start to close the gap as you start to talk about, often companies will talk about their headquarters or their corporate office and then their store people. And there's a huge gap there. And now I believe that will allow them to be better ambassadors and marketers of the brand and provide that experience that both Michael and Chad were talking about. So we can elevate the respect that position truly deserves.
Yeah, because I just feel like there's definitely going to be a future where you hold your phone up to something and, maybe it's on display or whatever, but then you just buy it right there and it's shipped to your house. Like, I definitely see that, as the future, again, from like other conferences that I've been at, from CES and other things that are definitely out there in the retail space. I mean, again, it's just going to be, I think, easier for the consumer. But the one thing that stays true is always going to be like, you still need a place to go.
So let's shift just a little bit. All customers are not equal. So I think what Michael's talking about, there's some that love that frictionless experience. I don't have to talk to a person. I can get in and out as fast as possible. And then there's some people that want to be educated and enjoy the experience of shopping and learning, although they probably start their research online before they come to the store. Does that differ across generations? Like, what are you thinking about right now in terms of the different generation of shoppers? What's important to them? Because they're inundated. They can go on your website. They can go onto your social media. What does that look like to you if you continue to say what's going on right now and as you look forward, Chad?
Well, looking forward, looking at Gen X and Gen Alpha, they grew up in the social media world, right? They don't know anything other than social media. My daughter's always on social media. She researches in social media. She gets her recipes from social media. And
not Facebook. She's probably on TikTok and Snap.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, not Facebook for sure. But and they create their tribes through their social media. And when they want to shop, they do all the research on the social media, but they want to go with their tribe to the store. They want to be part of that store environment and be part of that brand. And so you're going to see this shift, from in the Gen Z and Gen Alpha, that there'll be more in the stores because it's more experiential for them. They want to be there. They live in the digital, but they want to interact with their friends in the physical. So we're going to see a lot of that shift, I think.
Anything to add on, Michael?
That was another good one. Yeah, I mean, I would just add to. I think we're definitely going to see more of, that digital space will always exist because they grew up in it. You know what I mean? But I think the companies that are messaging and marketing, you know what I mean? I think they're smarter too, because this entire generation finds things out about sustainability, about, is the company good? I mean, is the company actually producing or saying or really saying what they're doing and actually living by it, and they're all sleuths, I feel like, on TikTok. They literally find out if the company is being good or not. So I do feel like the brand awareness is going to be so much, brand loyalty, I think, is going to be just so much more important with this generation that comes up, because again, they do their homework.
Yeah, and if just to be a little contrary, I don't think there's as much. If we're specifically talking about Z and Alpha, there's not as much brand loyalty, but there's community loyalty. So when you say tribe, they will, when they find something great. I have a 14-year-old, a baby Z, I guess. And he is the epitome of shopping high and low. He wants $250 sneakers, but then he wants a $5, top. And, it's also the shift in shopping in terms of wanting to buy secondhand as well is a huge evolution that everybody needs to pay attention to.
I was just going to say that because, again, I mean, the clothing industry is,
sustainability.
Exactly.
The
sustainable
about that.
Exactly. Yeah. And then there's so much more out there of this generation that is secondhand. They are literally upcycling so much more product than I know we ever did.
So I'm just curious, Chiara, do we have a couple minutes for questions? If anyone yes. Okay. Wonderful. Okay. We've got a question right here in the front row. Because I know the three of us could talk for hours on the subject if you need
No
it.
doubt.
Firstly, thank you for really just sharing your space and your insights. I'm super curious. I have questions for you both. One, from the furniture perspective, with the connection into AI, could you possibly see a future in which one of your stores has an area where you can actually engage with interior design pertaining to the space that you're looking to do from an AI perspective, but closing the conversation with an actual designer?
No, that's very interesting. We have been talking about a design area in our viewing rooms. Our viewing rooms aren't cash and carry stores. You can view and touch and feel the product, and then you go through our e-commerce site to make the choice. But we have been thinking about it because we're just more than we're holistically looking at the bedroom as your sanctuary. So making the products for you elegantly sustainable, and having that tool available where someone could create their three-dimensional environment, right, is interesting. We're not there yet. We're exploring that option. It has to build some expertise as well. I know AI can be a tool, but you still need that human connection to help guide. Our CSRs and our store sleep guides are one and the same, right? They're not. We don't differentiate them. They are both. So they're on the phones. They're on the e-commerce. Most of the time, but when someone comes into the store, they peel off, and they're now a sleep guide for that customer. So we blend that role. We think that's very unique because we don't have a CSR network in Central America, or overseas or in center of the United States, but they're distributed throughout all of our viewing rooms. So as we build viewing rooms, that customer network and sleep guides build up, and that knowledge base builds at the same time.
I think that's absolutely fantastic. For those people who are not as familiar with the store operations, typically you have somebody in a store who's providing customer service, and then you have somebody who's on the line that, yes, could either be an AI bot or overseas. But by combining those roles and creating that efficiency, you create real experts. And that not only helps with your customer retention and the customer experience, but also your associate retention. Is by streamlining those roles, are you able to improve the salary and benefits of that individual?
Absolutely. We pay much higher wages than most because they're this blended hybrid view, but they also can grow with the company, right? One of our early CSRs is now vice president of operations.
Amazing.
So, I mean, there's mobility that when you create the framework and the expertise, then people have mobility to move up in their career.
It's exactly what I was thinking when I was talking about the associates being the hero. And then you had one other question?
In highlighting the same question over to Michael, so when it comes to making jewelry nowadays, the conversation is about the experience and what it is that I'm getting that's uniquely me. So same question, do you see a future in which there is the connection between an AI design in regards to adding elements to a piece of jewelry that you may be looking at, while closing the conversation with an expert who's coming in to say, maybe you want to use a different font if you're looking at engraving or, different leaflets, that type of thing?
I have to be honest. I actually think I don't know if AI would be the first place I would go. I feel like it's such an emotional connection when you're talking about jewelry. You know what I mean? And I think what we're doing on the back end about like fulfillment centers and like having, using the spaces that we have to fulfill the needs of what we, are making, but also, just keeping that connection. I've been to, a few of our stores now, and the relationship that we build with the customer is so unique because it's not about like it's not about, oh, what do you want to buy or what occasion are you buying? It's really more, an approach of, how do you want to feel? How do you want to look? And I don't know. I don't see AI being that tipping point yet. You know what I mean? For that connection to
I
go
respect
away.
your gut reaction in terms of AI.
Yeah.
But what about the personalization piece that she's speaking about? Is that something that you currently offer at
We do.
Majority, or do you see that as an opportunity? Because maybe it's more of a generative AI that helps the design process, or think a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, like I think that we do offer engraving, we do offer cleaning, we do offer services and experiences, piercing. I mean, we pierce in all of our stores, and it is more about that experience. I don't know if the answer, if I thought about it more, if it would become
this is
more
where my
of a
product background comes in handy.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about something at that price point and that scale, it's a little bit more difficult with the personalization beyond a charm or an engraving. But I do think that there's huge potential there.
Totally.
Any other questions for us? Oh, right over here.
You made a comment at the end around secondhand goods and the importance of secondhand goods, especially with Gen Z and Alpha. How can or should secondhand goods live in unity with new products in store of the future?
So, in the mattress business, there's our business. We have a 365-day guarantee. If you don't like it, we'll take it back at no charge. And that comes to secondhand markets. We don't want to throw it in landfills, right? We don't want it to go into the waste stream. So we're working with partners that can take those products as long as they're in good condition and so forth, and then resell them on the secondary market. And we think that's a value to the company because it does get it out of the landfills. It does repurpose it and upscale it to someone who might not be able to afford a full price product, but still get that great sleep, right? Get that. I mean, we know that sleep is such a health benefit, right? The American Heart Association has come out with the 8th, essential pillar of sleep health, and from cardiovascular, neurodegenerative, there's so many benefits that a good night's sleep can help. And so we look at it as, as a well-rested life, right? And so if that secondhand market helps someone become a well-rested life, then it's great. And we don't see it interfering with the primary brand. We see it as a benefit and a value to overall.
I'm just going to say, just from a clothing perspective, like, I think brands have already tried this. I know Urban Outfitters has been, definitely dabbled in, that consignment and selling new products on top of that. So I do even the real, like that is a consignment, beast where, you literally are talking about, traders and people that want to buy things I think there's already something out there. I don't know, I don't know if there's more of that that's going to, evolve, but I do think it already exists. I think, and I don't work for those companies, so I have no idea if it worked, but I have seen it. And I do think there's a world where you can repurpose, something that is branded or that brand. And then how do you, reuse it? I even know the Gap did this whole, sustainability with their denim, bring in your jeans, and they recycled them and then they made more jeans, so I do think brands are aware, and I do think there's an evolution to that.
I think it's an educational journey as well. I think some brands do a much better job, when I think about Patagonia and how they innovate to, it's a really incredible journey, but they talk about, we don't want to sell you new things. We want to fix what you have because we stand by the quality. And I think that really resonates specifically with, some of our next generations.
Yeah, because even in the jewelry sector that we do, even if something, if something doesn't sell out, because it's not like a product, versus, oh, we're going to discontinue this style, we actually send it back, melt it, and make something new. So I know that's also important from a sustainability piece for us, for our brand. I just wanted to add that.
I love the sustainability tie-in. So I think we will pause there. And you can continue the conversations with Michael and Chad as we move into breakouts and lunch. But thank you so much.
Thank you. It was fun.
Thank you.